Thank you for joining me for the Me and White Supremacy virtual pilgrimage. My name is the Reverend John Borthwick, and I'm the minister here at St. Andrews in Guelph. And it's been quite an amazing journey for the last 22, 23 weeks as we've wandered through this book called Me and White Supremacy by Layla Saad. It's been eye-opening in so many ways. It's encouraged us to go a little deeper, to mine or harvest or try and find within ourselves how we think about some of the concepts that she brings up throughout this book. Today is You and White Leaders is the conversation. And I believe that really the reason for these videos themselves are really for me to have a conversation both with my own community and with my conversation partners. But also maybe if you're watching this and you're wondering, why is a church talking about this subject? Why are they posting videos weekly on this subject? What's important about this subject? Today might be an example of why I think this conversation is important and why it's good for us to be listening to this and be engaged with this material. I'm just going to quote a couple of parts of the book. It's a fairly short chapter related to this Me and White Leaders. And the thing that really struck me with this conversation is really about, and what inspired me to be on this journey, what's inspired me along the way to have difficult conversations or to raise topics that are challenging, is a part of what's in this chapter today. And what I want to talk about specifically is talk about a couple of things that she raises around the questions. Because my assumption is that for many of you who are watching these videos, you may not even pick up this book. You may not even read this book. And so it's my way of lifting this book up, and I'd encourage you to buy it and read it and explore it and do the reflective journaling prompts and all that kind of stuff. But if you're not, then this is why I'm having these brief conversations with you on these short videos. And so Layla's basically reaching out to white leaders to say that if you hold a position of leadership in your community, in the world, if you have power and authority and you have white privilege, it's really about how do you make sure that you're doing, using those things to try and make a difference in the world as it is. And we can do better in all these regards. We can encourage our peers to do the same, our colleagues, our families, our friends, to continue to do this kind of stuff. And so I'd encourage you to think about that. What I want to raise up today is simply the questions that she asks as a part of the reflective journaling prompts. And so let's listen to these questions and think about this if we hold any sort of privilege or power or authority because of our whiteness. Knowing what you know now about white supremacists' behaviors across the weeks of 1 all the way to 22, and you can certainly go back and watch some of the videos if you're not sure of some of these concepts. How do you respond when you witness white leaders behaving in these white supremacist ways? When white leaders tone police BIPOC? When white leaders claim colorblindness? When white leaders use anti-black tropes or racist stereotypes? When white leaders practice cultural appropriation? And when white leaders practice optical allyship and white saviorism? Question 2. When have you witnessed white leaders practicing these behaviors? How do your own white fragility and white silence get in the way of asking them to do better? And this is something we really need to think about. It's about how do we have these courageous conversations? How do we have a conversation where we invite people like ourselves to do better? That it's not acceptable. How does your fear of loss of privilege and comfort hold you back from asking white leaders to do better? How aware have you been of whether white leaders you follow are doing deeper anti-racism work? How much of a priority has it been for you to push them to go beyond the visual effect of diversity? And then the challenging question for us all, if we hold any sort of leadership in this world. If you are in a leadership position, how do you plan to respond to your own behaviors going forward? How do you plan to hold yourself accountable to do better? And so as Layla has encouraged us right from the start, this is not about an easy journey. This is a difficult journey. but it's one that needs to be taken with intention, and we must try to do this each and every day as a part of how we encounter the world. And so I encourage us all with that encouragement from Layla, and I encourage you to connect with this material and the varieties of anti-racism material that's out there today. And let's get beyond just reading and growing in our own knowledge and actually engaging and having some of the difficult conversations that need to be had if we're ever to see any change. So thank you for joining me on this journey, and we'll see you again next time.